This is lesson 3.3. You should be on page 148, and this lesson is called Solving Multi-Step Equations. Multi-step means exactly what it sounds like. Solving may take more, and I'll underline it here, it may take more than 2 steps. Now the first step is really the most important one here, and I'll put a little number 1 by this in blue. You want to always start solving by simplifying one or both sides of the equation if possible. I've told you that on the previous video. We always want to simplify if we can first, and then that will set up a 2-step equation that you can solve. They show a couple examples here, which I can let you read on your own. I'd rather work out some that are different from the book, so you can always refer to the book again if you'd like later. Let's go here on page 149. They have some practice problems. Let's work through these together using the steps of simplifying each side first and then using inverse operations, solving, and checking. So I wrote these 3 problems on a clean sheet, and we can work on them together. This first problem, 9d minus 2d plus 4 equals 32. The first step we should look to simplify. Well, do you notice I have like terms here? So 9d plus negative 2d is 7d. I have 7d plus 4 equals 32. Now, remember, let me use the onion analogy again. I want to solve for d, so I'm drawing an onion. You don't have to draw this onion, but I'm just trying to get this process in your head. I have to peel from outside in to get to d. If I peel from outside in, I will work this in the correct order. Can you see how the outside layer is plus 4? Well, to get rid of plus 4, I'd have to subtract 4. So I have to do that to each side of my equation to keep my scale balanced. 7d equals 28. Okay, the next thing, if I draw up my onion, I got to get rid of the layer here where I'm multiplying by the 7. Well, to get rid of multiply 7, I would divide by 7. I'm getting d equals 4. Okay, I should check it now. I should take 4, and anywhere I see d, I ought to plug in a 4. So in my calculator, I ought to do 9 times 4 minus 2 times 4 plus 4. And I want to verify that I get 32 for a response. I do, because 36 minus 8 is 28 plus 4, which is 32. Okay? Let's go to this example up here. Okay, you always want to simplify first. That's always the first step. I highlighted that in blue on the previous page. Well, distributing is part of simplifying. Can you see, if I take a highlighter here, can you see how I have some distributing to do in this very problem right here? Okay, let's distribute, so I'm going to need to do that. And I need to take, and I'll draw it up here, I need to take 3 times w and 3 times 4. So I have 2w plus 3 times w is 3w plus positive and positive is a positive. 3 times 4 is 12 equals 27. I'm still not done simplifying because I have like terms right here. 2w plus 3w is 5w plus 12 equals 27. Now this is a 2-step problem to solve. Let me draw my onion. There's the center. I got that. Times 5 is the next layer. The outside layer of my onion's plus 12. You don't have to do that on your homework. I just want, if you have that in your head when you're doing these, it's going to help you get these done right. So my outside layer is plus 12. I got to subtract 12 from the left and right side of the equal sign. And I get 5w equals 27 minus 12 is 15. And then my next step. So I'm not going to draw the onion this time, but can you picture the times 5 is the next layer to get rid of? I got to divide by 5 to get rid of times 5, and w would equal 3. And then I should check it. In my calculator, I ought to do 2 times 3 plus 3, open parentheses, 3 plus 4. I want to make sure that when I put this in my calculator that I'm going to get 27. And when I do that, I am going to get 27 out of that. Okay? I would highly recommend you plug it in and just verify it. Let's go to this problem down here on the bottom left. It's the third of the examples. Again, I have distributing in this problem. Let me highlight the distributing. It's right here. Okay? Distributing is part of simplifying. You should always simplify first before you try to solve. Now, be very careful when you distribute. We got to be careful with our signs. I got the 6x in front. Negative 2 times positive x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. Okay? Let me rewrite this x. It didn't write well. All right, now, I'm still not done simplifying. Do you notice I have like terms here? Let me add the opposite. 6x plus negative 2x is 4x. Plus 10 equals 46, okay? I'm not going to draw the onion up right now, but can you picture it? X is the center of the onion. The times 4 is the next layer. The plus 10 is the outside layer of the onion. I have to take away 10 to get rid of plus 10 first. 4x would equal 36. I can then divide by 4 to get rid of the times 4, and x equals 9. And then I should check. I should take my calculator, and I should go back up here to the beginning, and anywhere I see x, I ought to plug in a 9. I ought to be doing 6 times 9 minus 2, 9 minus 5 in parentheses. I should plug that in my calculator and make sure that it actually gives me 46. If you plug this in your calculator, you're going to get 46. You should check that, okay? Using reciprocals, although you can use the distributive property to solve an equation like this, and let me circle it, okay? I could use the distributive property and distribute through to solve that. Now it says here it's actually easier to multiply each side of the equation by the reciprocal. Now why do they say that? Okay, it might sound confusing. Let's go down here and let's do a couple of these and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's easier to do these instead of distributing. This is one situation. This is a special situation where you don't have to simplify first, and it's actually easier to do the problem without simplifying first. Let me write the problem down. Okay? Now, let me draw my onion up. Okay? So when I draw my onion, here's the first thing. Z's in the center. Because of my parentheses, the next closest thing to Z is the minus 6. And then I have to go outside the parentheses to get rid of this next layer. It's the times 3/4. Now, how would I solve that? Well, how do I get rid of times 3/4? Well, the inverse of multiplying is dividing. Now, you might be like, okay, now wait a minute, Mr. Lemansky. You're telling me to divide. The book is saying multiply by the reciprocal. Well, remember, when you go back to do you remember lesson 2.6? In that lesson, we learned that when we divide, we could instead multiply by the reciprocal. That's why the book is saying you can do that if you'd like. I just normally, since we get to use a calculator, I just think it's easier to teach it that, hey, to get rid of multiplication, you should divide. Okay, so I'm just going to divide. I'm going to take 3/4 divided by 3/4. Those cancel. I have Z minus 6 on the left. Now on the right, when you plug this in your calculator, make sure you plug in 12 divided by, open parenthesis, 3 divided by 4, close parenthesis. When you do that, you ought to be getting 16 if you put that in your calculator right. Okay, now the next step should be easy. Think about your onion. Z is the center, the minus 6 is the next layer. Just add 6 to each side, and voila, there's your answer, 22. And now you can go and take 22 and plug it in up here, and you can double check it by taking 3/4 times, open parenthesis, 22 minus 6, close parenthesis, and you want to make sure when you plug that in your calculator, you're going to get 12. And you do. Okay? So, now, if you distributed first, would you get the answer wrong? No, you would not get the answer wrong. It's just going to take you more steps to solve. So, when you have a situation like what I'm circling here, where you have the distributive property on one side of the equal sign and a numerical amount on the other, you could immediately divide each side. Like for this problem here, you could immediately divide each side of the problem by negative 4/5, and it should leave you an easy two-step problem to solve. Or here, same thing, number 5, you notice how we have the distributive property on the left and a numerical amount on the right. Instead of distributing first, you could elect to divide each side by 2/5, and after you do that, you'd have a simple two-step problem to solve. Okay? So that's what they mean here. This is one situation that breaks the rule of you must simplify first. We could actually do this problem without simplifying first. Last part of the video, you will have word problems, and these word problems will set up into equations which will require you to either simplify first, or this would be an example of what we just talked about. You notice how we have the distributive property on the right and a numerical amount on the left. You could divide each side by 25 right away and solve this pretty quick. It looks like the book elected to distribute, which you can do. It's just going to take you another step of work. So I'm going to pause the video here. If you have questions, make sure you ask during class.